there is a disease terrorizing young women, and most doctors have never heard of it.
Imagine you are young, you are healthy, you are vibrant. You are watching TV with your family, snuggled up on the couch when you think, you know what, I'm gonna make some popcorn. You go to stand up, and as you stand up, your world comes crashing down. You're sweating, you start to shake, you feel like your heart is about to jump out of your chest. You start to see stars, but then everything gets black. You brace yourself on the edge of the couch, but it's too late. You've passed out. Then after a few minutes, things go back to normal and you think, that was odd. So you brush it off. You think, oh, I skipped lunch. I didn't really drink any water today.
But it keeps happening again and again. And the worry and anxiety over when another attack may happen seems to be almost as bad as the attacks themselves. You mention this to your doctor, but they tell you, you're a young, healthy girl. You don't have anything wrong with you. I trained at an Ivy League medical school, and I did not know what POTS was until I learned about it on TikTok. I'm Dr. Erin Nance, board certified orthopedic surgeon, and this is day one of my 31 for 31 series of the most common misdiagnosed conditions that affect women. What does POTS stand for? It stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. What the heck does that mean?
Postural, meaning related to your posture when you're standing versus lying down. Orthostatic. This describes a normal response of your body's nervous system to what happens when your blood pressure is lower when you're lying flat to what happens when you stand up. Tachycardia, that means fast heart rate, and then syndrome means a collection of symptoms or findings that define a disease. So that's what it stands for, but what exactly is it? It's a dysfunction of your autonomic nervous system. What the heck is that? Now, you may have heard of your sympathetic system and your parasympathetic system, the fight or flight part of your nerves. These are the nerves that help take care of your heart rate, your blood pressure, your respirations when you're sleeping, your digestion. Now, most people are familiar with the tachycardia, the fast heart rate, and the fainting that happens when you go from sitting down or lying position to standing. But other symptoms, and this is what causes, I think, a lot of problems for people where they don't realize that the symptoms that just make people not feel good in general are related to your POTS. And this can be chronic fatigue, brain fog, total body chronic pain, GI stomach issues, anxiety, headaches, and it can affect any part of your body. So what makes it so difficult to diagnose? Well, the problem is we can't see it. We can't do a biopsy. We can't do any imaging. There's no blood test for it. There is something called a tilt test where doctors will measure your heart rate while you're lying down and then standing up. But really, it's based on just explaining this constellation of symptoms that match up with POTS. Now, here's something that totally shocked me. I thought that this was like a newer found disease since I had never heard of it in medical school, and it didn't sound like anyone else that I went to medical school knew about it either. But POTS was first described in 1940, and they've known since that time that there is a 5-to-1 prevalence in female to male ratio, and it affects over 1 million people, mostly women between their 20s and 50s.
This is the group of women that get written off by doctors because they look healthy. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with them. Now, here's the most discouraging part about a syndrome that's been known for over 80 years, and that there's no specific treatment to help. What people will recommend is you drink more fluids, have a greater salt intake. You're trying to keep the fluids inside of your body so that your blood pressure doesn't tank and cause you to faint. That's why they recommend doing regular exercise, wearing compression stockings to kind of keep the blood flow in the center of your body and not pooled in your peripheries. But all in all, we have nothing good for you. And to make matters even worse somehow, recent research has shown that COVID-19 survivors have a significant risk of developing POTS. And our doctors don't know how to treat them because they don't know what POTS is themselves. So if you have POTS, please share your story. Please share your tips in the comments. You never know who's watching this video, and there may be someone who is desperately seeking answers. Thank you for watching, and I hope you feel better.